Hello, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about funding your study abroad dreams and finding the program and the financial fit that's best for you. My name's Ashley Zulek, and I'm the Senior Advisor in the UNC Study Abroad office. I've been with UNC Study Abroad for about 5 years, and I work with our non-approved programs and some of our programs in Australia and New Zealand. As an undergraduate myself, I studied abroad twice on a faculty-led program in France and a semester-long program in Australia.
And my name is Sharon Beers. I work both in the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid as well as the Study Abroad office. I've been working for the university for about 8 years now and in higher education for over a decade. And while I was an undergrad, I also had the opportunity to study abroad in Athens, Greece. Today, we'll be covering several topics that will be super helpful as you navigate how you can make studying abroad a reality. So we're going to first talk about the different study abroad program options. We'll talk about financial aid information as well as study abroad scholarships, and also some alternative sources of funding, as well as different global opportunities, and finally talking about some of the benefits of engaging globally.
So to get us started, we thought we would tell you a little bit about UNC Study Abroad and the types of programs that we offer. UNC Study Abroad is housed within the College of Arts and Sciences, and we have over 400 programs in 70 plus countries. We're always adding new programs, so that number does fluctuate up and down, but we encourage you to keep an eye on our website to see any new programming ideas or options that are upcoming. Some of our programs have language requirements, but not all programs require foreign language. We offer everything from English-speaking courses in English-speaking countries to English-speaking courses in non-English-speaking countries, and even a mix of studying your courses in a foreign language as well as English-speaking courses, depending on your comfortability with language. Our programs range anywhere from 3 weeks up to a full year. So summer options generally range from 3 weeks to 12 weeks, with the average being 6 to 9 weeks. Of course, we have fall and spring semester options, academic year options, and you can also combine a summer experience with a fall experience, even if you're looking at going different places. Students can study abroad as early as the spring of their first year on a select handful of programs, and then following that, the summer following your first year, and then of course the first semester of your second year would open up most other programs for you. And we do have a handful of programs with junior level requirements, and your study abroad advisor would be happy to talk with you about those options. In addition to our general study abroad experiences, we also have programs that offer things like internships, research, and service learning if you're looking for something a bit different than the normal experience. So this chart gives you an idea of the different types of programs that we offer through UNC Study Abroad. So to quickly run through the different aspects of these, faculty-led programs are programs where UNC students travel with UNC professors to study UNC courses for graded credit. So generally these tend to be one of the more supportive options, especially if you haven't traveled by yourself previously. We also have several signature programs, which are programs that UNC is heavily involved in organizing and setting up, and they're also heavily involved in the academics of these programs. There currently is one in France, there's one in Spain, and there is also one in Italy. So these programs are offered in summer and semester formats, and generally do tend to be larger groups of UNC students. We also have exchange and direct enroll programs. So these programs are very similar in the sense that you're studying at a host institution, taking their courses. So generally you have quite a bit in terms of course options. And then you would be in classes with other local and international students. And then lastly, third-party provider options. These are programs where we work with different international organizations for you to study, generally with other American students from other institutions around the US. These do tend to be fairly specific and usually focus on a certain topic, and they also generally house a lot of our internships, research, service learning options. To quickly talk about cost related to these types of programs, a couple things to highlight. For those of you that are in-state students, we do encourage you to consider exchange programs. The great thing about exchange for an in-state student is that you can actually pay your UNC tuition just like you were here on campus. Of course, depending on what program you're looking at and the location, the cost of living may vary. So we have several programs that would be similar to being in Chapel Hill, as well as many programs that might be more expensive, or potentially even less than being in Chapel Hill. For those of you that are out of state, we would encourage you to consider a non-exchange direct enroll program, as these programs generally you would be paying the tuition of the host institution abroad instead of your out-of-state tuition. So these can be a little bit less expensive generally than paying your out-of-state tuition. So a few things to consider as you're thinking through program types. We talked a bit about exchange programs, non-exchange direct enroll, depending on your in-state versus out-of-state status. Also thinking about cost of living. So like I mentioned, somewhere in Latin America may be less expensive than somewhere like Sydney, Australia, as an example. One really great resource you can use to just give yourself a sense of cost. There's a resource called Expatistan, and there are several of these online, but essentially you can put in your current location, so whether you want to compare to Chapel Hill or maybe your hometown, and then the city that you're interested in studying in, so maybe Chapel Hill compared to London, for example. And you can see the cost of things like apartment rent, or even things like a gallon of milk, or maybe a value meal at McDonald's, just to give yourself an idea of what those price comparisons would be for living in that location. Also thinking about what is included in your program cost. So you'll want to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, in the sense that if you're looking at a program that maybe the number you're seeing is quite expensive, what does that number include? So does that include things like housing, meals, excursions? Whereas if you see a program that maybe has a less expensive bottom line number, maybe that's just covering your tuition. So making sure that you're looking at things with the same inclusions. So to give you an example of this, we wanted to show you a couple of budget sheets. So all of our programs have budget sheets, which are located on the program brochure page on the UNC Study Abroad website. These budget sheets are set up in two parts. So you'll see the top part lists the cashier billed expenses, which are costs that would be billed to you to your UNC student account. The bottom part are out-of-pocket estimates, which are real costs that you can expect, but they're not something we would bill you for. So we're giving you some estimates of what to expect for those. On these two budget sheets you'll see here, on the left we've got a third-party program, which would be SIT Switzerland, and you can see the program costs are falling on the top cashier billed expenses, and they're about $7,000. So for that, those program costs, which the budget sheet would tell you, include things like housing, meals, excursions. Over on the right, you'll see a budget sheet for an exchange program. So you can see at the top, the cashier billed expenses subtotal is fairly low because you've got your housing and meals falling at the bottom in the out-of-pocket estimates. So if you were comparing these programs, you would want to make sure as you're looking at cost that you would compare those housing and meal estimates with the program cost, so that things you're looking at the same inclusions for both programs.
So as you're thinking about and looking at all of the different types of study abroad programs that you might be interested in, as well as really thinking about the different geographic regions and countries that you might be interested in going to, we really want to dig into the money side of things. So it'll be really important for you to think about if your study abroad program is affordable for you. So essentially, looking at the different figures and costs to figure out if you're picking a program that financially is feasible for your personal and current financial situation. We want you to be really realistic early on in the process. So in order for you to find, in addition to an academic fit with the programs you're looking at, we're also committed to helping you find a financial fit for those particular programs. And to kind of give you a foundation or a baseline of where to begin with how to even figure out if your study abroad program might be feasible for you, is to learn a little bit more about the cost for being here on campus in Chapel Hill. So these figures are the cost of attendance, or the budgets for the upcoming academic year, based upon a typical year or a typical semester for classes that are on campus here in Chapel Hill. So as an in-state student, the cost of attendance is $12,319. And as an out-of-state student, the cost of attendance is $26,675. And so these costs include both charges that will be directly billed to your cashier's account, so things like tuition and fees. If you're living on campus, those charges would include housing. And if you have a meal plan through Carolina Dining Services, that would also be listed on your student account. Similar to the study abroad budget sheets that Ashley just showed you, we also build in out-of-pocket estimates. We know that while you're here at UNC as a student, you still have very real expenses that aren't necessarily expenses that are owed to the school. And so those include things like transportation, so gas money to get to and from, as well as personal estimates for things like a toothbrush or a new pair of jeans when the old ones wear out. So these figures that you're seeing here, the $12,319 as well as the $26,675, that is all inclusive of both charges that you owe and estimates of expenses that are very real. So again, this provides a foundation for you to then start figuring out how your study abroad program or programs that you might be interested in pursuing, figuring out how they compare. So as far as financial aid for study abroad is concerned, anything that you are currently receiving for being here on campus in Chapel Hill, so any of the financial aid gets to travel with you, which is really wonderful. So if you have received any federal grants, state grants, or other university grants or scholarships, those typically get to be applied to your study abroad program, which can really help in terms of covering a chunk or a big chunk of your study abroad expenses. There are a few exceptions, so I want to make sure to highlight those as well. So for instance, if you are receiving federal work study in your current on-campus financial aid package, that would be something that is not available to you when you study abroad. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to participate in work study while you're off in another country. So that is something that we typically convert into loan funding for you. If you are participating in a more expensive program, the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid does have additional loan eligibility to offer to you. Certainly, it's absolutely your discretion as to whether you want to borrow those loans, whether you need to borrow those loans, or whether you don't want to borrow them at all. That's a decision that's up to you, but we simply offer everything that you're eligible for so you know what you're looking at when you're thinking about your different study abroad programs. If you are looking at a program that's less expensive, so less than those baselines that we just talked about, we are federally required to reduce aid or adjust it to match your new and lower program costs. This can be especially important to highlight for out-of-state students, since your cost of attendance for being here on campus is a little over $26,000, and a lot of the study abroad programs are actually less expensive than that. We would make adjustments to your financial aid package, and we would do that in a way that's as beneficial as possible to you. So we would begin with reducing any loans that you may already have in your regular financial aid package before we would ever touch your grant funding. So we certainly try to preserve as much of that grant or scholarship funding as possible for you. And then lastly, if you're looking at summer programs, typically, again, the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid has additional loan eligibility to offer to you for those programs. I also want to point out that if you are receiving a Pell Grant during the fall and spring semesters, that is something that you would be eligible for in the summer as well, but it is a fraction or a much smaller percentage or amount than you're receiving during the regular academic year. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, let's say you're receiving around $6,000 in a Pell Grant for fall and spring combined. You would be eligible for a little under $1,000 in the summer. So again, every dollar certainly helps, but it is much lower for the summer. So something to keep in mind as you're thinking about fall programs, spring programs, or perhaps summer options. So now that you have an idea of how financial aid works when you study abroad, as well as what the costs look like when you're here on campus, there are several important questions that you'll want to ask yourself. Again, we want you to be very realistic with your current financial situation so we can help you find a really good financial fit so that you're not stressed out when you're abroad financially that could potentially detract from your rewarding experience. So first, you're going to want to ask yourself, is the program or programs that you're looking at, are they more expensive? Are they less expensive? So that's step one when you're trying to figure out the affordability side of things. If the program is more expensive, you'll want to think about how do you plan to cover that difference or that gap? Some of you may have been working and have money in savings that you already plan on using. Some of you may have family members who are helping. And some of you, it might be entirely up to you for figuring out how to finance your study abroad program option. So things to think about when you're going through the is this program affordable to me checklist. If the program is more expensive, are you willing to take out more loans? I know that sometimes loans can feel pretty daunting or intimidating or even scary to some, but I want to share with you that they are not necessarily a bad thing at all. They can absolutely be a mechanism for helping you participate in this extremely rewarding experience. And if a few $1,000s in loans means that that's the only way that you can participate, I would certainly encourage you to really think about that. And to put that in perspective, if you're borrowing around $3,000 or so to make your study abroad program possible, you're looking at loan repayments of around $50 a month. So that's pretty similar to an internet bill. So it can definitely be really affordable in terms of the long run, and absolutely an investment into your future and into having this experience. Also, just to point out, the national student loan debt average is around $33,000 per student. So again, if you're looking at a few $1,000s in loans to make study abroad possible, it's something to at least consider that it can be worthwhile. And then finally, another thing to think about, and Ashley mentioned this a little bit earlier, is the cost of living in your particular geographic region. So the budget sheets in study abroad, as well as here on campus, include living expenses as well as educational expenses. But federally, we aren't allowed to include financial aid for sort of fun money, whether it be weekend travel with friends or other excursions that you might take with your classmates for fun, again, not educational related. So something you'll want to think about is not only how do you plan to cover some of the program costs and some of the basic living expenses like housing and meals, but will you have enough saved up to be able to say yes to that weekend trip to another city that's close by to wherever you may be studying? So again, something to consider as you're looking at the different program options that are available to you. As far as financial aid adjustments are concerned, there's nothing additional that you need to fill out for the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid. So since we have such a strong collaboration between the Study Abroad Office and the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid, I'll already know once you've selected your program and once you've committed. So I'll be able to make those adjustments for you without you having to take an action step for that. If you are looking to study abroad in the fall semester, in a typical year, adjustments to your financial aid package are made in June. If you're looking at a spring study abroad program, package adjustments are typically made throughout the month of November. And finally, if you're looking at a summer program, financial aid package adjustments are typically made in mid to late April. And again, adjustments will automatically be made so long as you have a current and regular financial aid package for being here on campus. If you don't yet have a financial aid package, there will be some things that are required for you to complete, starting with the free application for federal student aid, also referred to as the FAFSA. But if you already have a package being here on campus, those adjustments will occur automatically. And you'll actually get an email notification saying, hey, we've updated your financial aid package, check it out. It's because you're studying abroad, and you can then log into your Connect Carolina Student Center to see what aid has been offered to you for your study abroad experience. Now, you may notice that a lot of the timeline or the months that I just shared with you are actually months after your study abroad program application is due, and it's even after the date of when you have to commit by. And because of that, I strongly encourage you to please reach out to me. I will be happy to provide financial aid estimates well ahead of time so that you have all of the tools and all of the information that you need to make, again, a decision that makes sense from a financial fit perspective for the programs that you're looking at. I'll provide my email at the end of this presentation, but it is FA, as in financial aid, _studyabroad@unc.edu. And you can send me an email with your name, your PID number, and a link to the budget sheet that you're looking at so that I can help provide you some figures as you're narrowing down your program options. Or if you already have your heart set on one, you can pretty early on in the process figure out if that's realistic for you, again, depending on your current personal financial situation. And finally, I do want to point out that once adjustments are made, there may be action steps on your part at that time. So once you get that email notification, you'll want to check out the changes. And if you do want to borrow any additional loans that have been offered to you, you would need to accept those in your Connect Carolina Student Center. Once you have your updated financial aid package, that will actually post to your cashier office student account right around when classes start here on campus for your particular term. So if you're looking to study abroad in the spring semester, financial aid will typically post within that first week or so of January. At that time, all of your financial aid for the particular term will be applied to any account charges that you have. So as Ashley showed you earlier, that cashier billed expense portion of the budget sheet, your financial aid will first be applied to that total. And then anything left over will be generated to you as a refund. It's important to keep in mind when your program actually starts. Some study abroad programs begin before the semester here on campus start, and some begin after. So if you're in the position where your study abroad program begins earlier than the semester start date, you'll just want to keep in mind a cushion that you might need to have out of pocket until your financial aid is available to you. And finally, you'll want to sign up for direct deposit through the cashier's office. This enables the cashier's office to generate any refunds that you might be eligible for directly into your personal banking account that you sign up with. If you're abroad, you won't be here on campus to pick up a paper check. So you'll want to make sure you have access to that funding as soon as possible for some of those out-of-pocket estimates. Figuring out your refund can be done using the following steps. So essentially, you'll want to add up all of the aid, the financial aid that you anticipate for your given term. You'll want to subtract out those cashier billed expenses. Some study abroad budget sheets say the term billable expenses, so those are used interchangeably. So any billable or cashier billed expenses, you'll subtract those out of your total anticipated financial aid, and the difference would be a refund that you would be eligible for. And we really want you to keep in mind that your refund is intended to help cover all of those out-of-pocket estimates that you'll have, and it's intended to last for months. So we never want to see a student be in a situation, again, where you're really financially stressed and you've used that refund within the first month, and then you're kind of stuck for the following 3 months if you're going abroad in the fall or spring semester. So really being mindful about how you plan to make that money last for your duration of your study abroad program. And there's a lot of great budgeting tools that are out there that you could think about using for those in order to make your money last throughout the months that you're abroad. So I've talked a lot about the different types of aid. I know we've talked a lot about loans that are available through the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid, but a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, what kind of other funding is available? So I'm happy to share that there is absolutely a lot of scholarship funding that's out there. The Study Abroad Office, in fact, has many study abroad scholarships that they offer to students that you might be eligible to receive. There is a separate scholarship application for this. So you have your study abroad program application, and then separately you need to take action on a study abroad scholarship application. The common application, by filling that out, it puts you in the pool or in the running to be considered for a wide variety of study abroad office scholarships. I will say that a lot of these are based upon financial need, but there are some that are based just upon merit. And then there's also a lot of scholarships that are based upon the combination of both financial need and merit. So I absolutely encourage you to apply for those because you might be eligible. And certainly if you are selected for a scholarship, that can also help cover that gap or that difference if you're in a program that's more expensive. This application, the scholarship application, is due at the same time as your program application. So 2 applications due on the same date with the Study Abroad Office.
So in addition to our common application, which as Sharon mentioned is one application and it combines lots of different scholarship options, we also have some applications for scholarships that are specific to certain program types or maybe to certain identity aspects for you that you might be eligible for. So this includes our Harris Teeter Study Abroad Award, which is for students who currently are employed by Harris Teeter or are children of employees of Harris Teeter. We also have the Helen Elizabeth Daybalt Seckler Scholarship, which is for students who plan to study on exchange in England and they're looking to take courses specifically for their major or to engage with the community in some way, usually through an internship or some sort of service learning opportunity. The Phillips Ambassador Scholarship combines a global course with financial funding for students studying in Asia. And then scholarships for Honors and Birch programs are specifically for programs offered through Honors Carolina. So Honors Carolina programs are open to all UNC students, and you'll see these designated by UNC Honors or UNC Birch. And so if you were applying to any of those programs, you would want to submit this application to be considered for funding related to those programs. So as Sharon mentioned, these applications are due on the same day as your program application. So depending on your background, your program, you could potentially have your UNC Study Abroad program application, a common application for scholarships, as well as one or more of these scholarship applications as well. So just make sure that you are taking action to apply for each scholarship and of course your program to make sure that you're considered for all possible options. Outside of scholarship funding provided by UNC Study Abroad, there are lots of other types of scholarships, both at UNC and outside of UNC. So we wanted to give you some examples and some places you could potentially look for funding. So starting at UNC, there are some UNC academic departments who provide funding for students studying in their majors, minors, or just studying in their courses. So one example is the Lesher Opportunity Fund, which is provided through the philosophy department for philosophy majors, minors, or students studying coursework related to philosophy. UNC also has several language and area studies centers, which are all located in the FedEx Global Education Center, and they offer some specific funding as well. So one funding example is the Foreign Language and Area Studies Scholarship, and each area studies center administers funding specific to the languages that they partner with. So the FLAS is for students studying a less commonly taught language. Generally, these scholarships are specific to summer programs or academic year programs, and again, looking for students taking less commonly taught languages. Third-party scholarships, so as we mentioned on the program type slide, there are specific program types called third-party programs where you're studying with a study abroad organization. These do tend to be slightly more expensive if you're looking at the bottom line budget sheet, but the great thing is they actually offer funding to help offset the cost of their specific programs. You'll notice that a lot of our third-party programs are acronyms, so you'll see SIT, IES, SFS, API, and so as you're applying to these programs, make sure that you're also checking out the funding opportunities they provide. It could be anything from merit or need-based scholarship funding to some even offer low or no interest loans in addition to funding you might be able to access through UNC. And then lastly, there are lots of national and just outside unaffiliated scholarships that you could consider to help offset your cost. So a couple great examples are the Gilman and the Fund for Education Abroad. The Gilman is specifically for students who are receiving federal Pell Grant, and they award anywhere from $100 up to $5,000 to help students who may not otherwise participate due to financial constraints on study abroad programs. The Gilman does require a couple of certifications. So one is a study abroad advisor certification, one is a financial aid certification, and so that's something that Sharon as well as our study abroad advisors are happy to assist with as you're applying through that process. The Fund for Education Abroad is a scholarship that provides funding to students who are underrepresented in the U.S. study abroad population. So generally this would be students with demonstrated financial need, and underrepresented could mean anything from first generation students to students of a minority background. And the funding through the FEA can be up to $10,000 for an academic year, $5,000 for a semester, and they also have summer funding as well. So all of these could significantly assist you with either reducing that gap as Sharon talked about, or helping maybe give you some additional assistance as you're working towards your program funding. One other office on campus we wanted to make sure you are aware of is the Center for Global Initiatives. The Center for Global Initiatives is an office that focuses on global opportunities in the broadest sense. So they promote study abroad programs, but they also run their own programs, which are generally non-credit bearing, whereas all of our UNC study abroad programs are going to be for credit. They also have quite a bit in terms of funding ideas and opportunities for global opportunities in general, and they provide in-person resources, advising from everything to comparing a study abroad program to maybe a CGI non-credit bearing program to talking about how your identity might impact your experience abroad. And then they also manage a lot of our federal programs like the Fulbright or the Diplomat in Residence Office. One really great resource specific to funding that CGI provides is their Embark Carolina Funding Finder. Embark Carolina is an amazing website. We highly encourage you to check it out, but it has several different aspects that would help you through different parts of your planning for a global experience. So one part is the Global Guide, which is a resource for students thinking about a global opportunity, and it helps you think through everything from how would I sublease my apartment before I go abroad to, as I mentioned earlier, maybe how your identity might impact your experience and things to consider as you're planning for that. The aspect of Embark Carolina that's most relevant to this presentation is the Funding Finder, which is another piece within the larger website. So here's a shot of the homepage of the Funding Finder here, and essentially it's a giant database of all sorts of funding opportunities, both at Carolina and outside of campus, outside in the world. So there's different filters here you can use if you want to put in a keyword search, if you're looking maybe for something specific like the Gilman. You can also search for funding that's good for transfer students or good for first generation students. You can put in a citizenship requirement, so it can kind of help you filter down to find things that might be specific to you. Outside of the Funding Finder, we also wanted to give you some additional resources you could use for searching for funding ideas. So all of these are websites you can search. Most of them have filters where you can put in your current location. So maybe I'm in the United States, where you plan to study, Australia, and your field of study, so maybe chemistry. And then it can actually filter down pretty specifically to scholarships that match those criteria to give you even more of a net and a web to try and find some additional resources. And then lastly, we just wanted to talk a little bit about an alternative type of funding. We know this may not be everyone's cup of tea necessarily, but it is a great way to potentially add some additional funding to your plan as you're thinking about your experience. So we're all familiar with crowdfunding. There's so many different platforms. GoFundMe, of course. There is one specific for travel, which a lot of folks do use for study abroad, called Fund My Travel. And then, of course, things like Facebook fundraisers. So these are a really great way for you to use your network to actually connect out and find others who might be interested in helping you have this experience. We have had several UNC students do this and actually be fairly successful. To give you an example, we had a student abroad this past academic year in Argentina, and she actually raised up to almost $4,000 through a GoFundMe campaign. So it does work, and that was funding that she was able to apply towards her program. Outside of crowdfunding, we also encourage you to consider fundraising. So maybe you're not terribly comfortable with asking people for money, but maybe you're a little more comfortable thinking about offering someone a service in exchange for some additional funding. So that could be anything from dog walking, maybe doing some sort of car wash. I know these ideas seem simple, but they are real ways that you could add additional funding to your pot as you're trying to see what might be possible for you. So as Sharon and I mentioned earlier, we both had global experiences ourselves, and they were very impactful. For myself, I grew up in a small town in eastern North Carolina. If you had known me in high school, you would have never in a million years thought that I would have gone on a study abroad experience, but I pushed myself and I did it. And it led me not only to my current career, but my first experience, which was a summer faculty-led, pushed me to try the semester program, which I did. And then I even ended up living abroad after graduation to work for a bit, which was a really great experience. It really gave me a lot of confidence. It changed my outlook on the world. And even though it was an additional expense on top of what my typical undergraduate cost would be, the things that I got out of it So again, my career, my world view was absolutely worth it.
And I can tack on to what Ashley just shared in terms of my experience when I went to Athens, Greece. It definitely pushed me beyond my comfort zone. In fact, I really almost wanted to back out right as we were approaching leaving the country because it was scary. It was unknown. I didn't know if I'd make friends. I didn't know how the classes would be. And, you know, again, it was a little bit scary, but I'm so glad that I pushed myself to do it because it really broadened my horizons beyond what I even knew was out there. I feel like my perspective, similar to Ashley growing up, was very limited. It was narrow. I grew up in a little bit of a bubble. And so when I studied abroad, it just opened my eyes to so many things that were beyond myself. And it's something that I couldn't necessarily learn in a classroom here in the States. And it's absolutely worthwhile. It's absolutely life-changing, the skills that you gain from it. And so we can't speak of it highly enough. As Ashley mentioned, you know, we're both in careers that are now related to study abroad because that's how passionate we are about it. And we really hope that this presentation has provided you with the tools necessary to, again, not only really think about the academic fit when you're looking at programs, but to really think about the financial fit and to make sure that you're picking a program that is financially feasible for you, even if that does mean borrowing a little bit of a loan in order to get abroad. It's absolutely worthwhile, and we are here to help you on this journey. As I mentioned earlier, my email address is provided here for any of you who might be interested in receiving a financial aid estimate after you've narrowed down and picked your top program choice. We can talk a little bit more details in terms of what that might look like for your personal financial situation, as well as the study abroad advisors who are available to help answer any questions that you may have about the academic side of things or the logistical side of things. Their email is also listed here, and you can reach them using abroad@unc.edu. Thank you so much for joining us today. We were so excited to share this information with you, and we hope that you really gained a lot of useful tools and resources as you narrow down your program options.